From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
All right. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And it's only me today. Jeff is on a cruise right now doing his thing. I have his picks out for you guys later and everything like that, but I had to get the show started because we do have the primetime angles coming up later on in a bit as well, too. Primetime angles will be ready about 1:30 or so right after this. So pretty much I'm doing a little double duty. So let's go ahead and jump into the mix. But first, let's talk about last week. Man, once again, week 8 results. I went 9-6, 52-40, and 2 on the season. Jeff went ahead and he was able to get his 54. He was able to get his 8-7 last week. He's 54-40-1 now for the season. So, hey, it is what it is at the end of the day. And pretty much we have ourselves a very, very fun race going on. Actually, I'm 52-41, so we'll fix that, but we'll have it fixed next week. So it's all good. But let's go ahead, jump into our next game, and it's going to be the TNF game. It's going to be the Tuesday night football game, and man, Tuesday night football always a fun night. But Thursday night football on Prime, and everybody's always excited about Prime. So pretty much Prime, man. Last week I had to kind of cut the game off and just watch it on my phone because literally it looked like I was watching it on an Android. So yeah, I had to do that last week. But let's go ahead and jump into the numbers for this game. And the Eagles going into the game 7-0, while you have a Texans team that's 1-5-1 in the matchup. And Brandon Cooks, I don't know if he's been traded yet, but it doesn't really matter. The Texans are not playing for the playoffs. They're just out there showing up. Lovie Smith, lame duck coach right now, even though he has guys that that try to show up and play some football. They are literally last in pretty much everything in the NFL. And one thing is, though, they are playing some defense. I will give them that. They got 7 interceptions on the season, but the Eagles got 10, ranked number 2 in the league. Eagles averaging 28 points a game as well, too. That's 12 more than their opponent. So that's why you got a big line of being 13.5 right here as well. Now, when you look at the numbers, you got an Eagles team. Once again, they are feasting on the bad teams here in the NFL. And I look at their schedule right now and see that they've only played one team with a winning record, and that is the Dallas Cowboys, and they beat them by 9, but they had some issues in that game. And also Minnesota, would be the 2 seed right now. They beat them 24-7. So once again, they only have 2 teams that have over 500 records. Detroit, one of the worst teams in the league. Jacksonville is kind of falling apart right now. Arizona is very middling, and Pittsburgh is just not good either. So the Eagles have dominated these teams, but they have not really had a close game all season. The only close game they had, and it wasn't really close, was the first game of the season. And Arizona was somewhat of a close game as well, too, but that was a lot of backdoor points at the end as well. So with that, I will say this, that we have ourselves a very, very unique matchup here on Thursday night. It's going to be a drastic overbet on the Eagles, and we all know that. So that's why I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans in this spot with the 13.5. I think that, this team has played well enough to warrant my money here in this spot. I know that they only got one win on the season, and they've only been blown out once, and that was against the Raiders, where they lost 38-20. They go into Philly, and it's a home game. They played much better at home, even though they did lose by 10 to the Chargers. The rest of their games have been much closer than that. And so I really do like the fact that they're going to try, and they're going to play some defense. And Hurts is coming back home, too. It might be a little bit of nerves in that game as well. So there it is, and we move forward. And let's go ahead and jump into the early games. And in the early games, we got ourselves a good matchup here with 2 teams that kind of going in 2 different places. You got the Dolphins and the Bears. The Bears coming up fresh off of a bad loss last week, got absolutely dragged by the Cowboys last week. The Cowboys beat them up 49, scoring the most points in the NFL this year. And the Cowboys had a little bit of an issue scoring points, and Dak was being questioned as well too. And they went ahead and took care of their business. Now Chicago had lost 3 in a row, then got a monster win in New England. So people felt like the tide had turned a little bit, but it didn't. Chase Claypool is actually headed to Chicago as well too. So they said that possibly if they get some weapons, they can be good. But this team after starting the season off 2-1, have now dropped their last 4 out of 5. I think that the Bears aren't really going anywhere, to be honest with you. But this is a spot where they can catch you slipping. You got this Dolphins team that is really good, and they are coming back off. They have recovered well from the 3-game losing streak that they had. They won their first 3 games this season, then they came back around, won their last 2 games, but these games have been games where they had to really fight for their victory. They've only had 1 game where they really dominated the team, and that was the opener against the Patriots. Most of their games are all won in the final minutes or sometime in the fourth quarter. So this is where the Bears have a shot at, because the Bears are rebuilding right now, but the Bears still got some spirit to them as well too, and it's going to be a home game as well. So you can never sleep on the Bears in Chicago. So I do like them with the +5.5 in this spot. So I am taking the Bears here +5.5. Could they shake up some things, possibly get a win? Maybe, but I think that the Bears, we can trust them because the Bears have been good at the cover this year as well too. We can look. I'm looking at their numbers now, and when I look at the Bears numbers on the cover, I would say this, that you can have this team really, really help you out in a sense, because they play a certain way that really, really is frustrating for people that are betting, in my opinion. So I'm going to take them with the 5.5. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to see how it shakes out. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into our next game, which is going to be the Bears and the Bengals and the Panthers. And the Panthers coming in here 2-6, and you got a Bengals team fresh off a 19-point loss to the Browns, losing on Monday Night Football 32-13. Now Joe Burrow is 0-4 against that team, and that did snap a nice little win streak that the Bengals had as well too, coming out after starting the season off 0-2. The Bengals have recovered pretty well, winning their last 4 out of 5 games. So you have a Bengals team that did get kind of caught off guard. They thought a lot of people had them winning that game, but they just didn't win. So they, to me, actually, they've won their last 4 out of 6. Sorry about that. But yeah, they had 1, 2 in a row, and then they lost to the Browns. And now they play Carolina. See, they've had some issues with teams that are a little bit that they can overlook a little bit, but they made up for it with the big effort against Atlanta. They absolutely had a game against Atlanta. They had 28 points in the first half in that game and only needed a touchdown to go ahead and ice them off. They also beat up on New Orleans, so they do have an advantage over these. They do have an advantage over the NFC South right now. They did lose to the Cowboys, but that was their little extra game that they had to play. So they got Carolina coming in. They're averaging about 62. They're averaging about 32.5 points against the NFC South as well too. So I do expect some scoring in this game because Carolina's defense looked atrocious last week. But Carolina does have, I don't know if they have Baker Mayfield coming back next week. Possibly they do. And Baker Mayfield has a great record against the Bengals. That's one of the teams that he was very successful against in Cleveland. So I think that if he starts this week, the Bengals could be in a little bit of trouble, but I truly do think that the Bengals should not have any issues with the Panthers at all, because this is a game that is a game. It's kind of a makeup game because last week they put a lot into it and they just did not show up. So I like the Bengals here with the 7.5. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but that's where we're going with that one. And pretty much the Bengals, hopefully they can go ahead and take care of business for us because they haven't been the greatest team against the spread, but we'll see. We'll give them a shot here. I'm looking at the numbers now. Cincinnati against the spread right now is 5-3 actually this year. So they've been good, but they've been kind of tricky against these bad teams. But the 7.5 to me works out, and I'll go ahead and I'll take that 7.5 right there. So there it is. There it is. We move forward to our next game, the Packers and the Lions, one of the oldest rivalries in the NFL. The Packers coming here 3-5, losers of 4 straight. The Packers need to be better. That's that. It's that simple. But then you have a Lions team coming in here, losers of their last, I think, 4 in a row, actually 5 in a row. After surprising everybody early in the season, everybody had this idea that the Lions might be a little bit better because they're playing better offense. But that's what happens when they put your team on Hard Knocks and everybody gets this idea that you're going to kill it, but you don't. I'm looking at Detroit against the spread right now. Detroit against the spread is 3-4. And then you have the Packers right now, who have not really been good against the spread at all. They're 3-5. So can you trust the Packers in this spot? Yes, you can trust the Packers in this spot because they're beyond frustrated at this point. And this is a real gimme game for Rodgers. This one right here, if they lose to the Lions, the season's over. And I know it's too late to trade Aaron Rodgers, but I honestly thought that it could have been a good idea for the Packers to explore possibly trading him to, say, a team like the San Francisco 49ers. You know what I mean? Because the 49ers were just throwing out things. Or the LA Rams could have tried to say, you know what, this Matt Stafford thing's not working. Can we do a straight up swap? Because the Packers, and to me, are they really trying to play for a title right now? I think they're just waiting out Aaron Rodgers, to be honest with you. But let's stay on the game. And when I look at this game, I say to myself that the Packers should be fine. Let's go ahead and take them with the minus 175. We're going to have to spend a little bit of extra money, but it's okay because they've had their issues in Detroit. Let's keep it real. They've had their issues. But Sunday, it should be much better for this team. So I do like them in this spot. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we do get back, we're going to go ahead and get into our next block of early games. So you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back with the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And let's go ahead and get into our next game. And this was a good old rivalry for a while in the NFL, and that was the Pats and the Colts. Brady versus Manning and blah, 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 blah. And Brady dominates Manning, and Tony Dungy coaches up the Colts to lose to Bill Belichick. And the one time that they did get the Patriots, they were able to get a title. That was good. But the Patriots was poppy for a long time, and it seems like they still are poppy. So in this game, and let me stop saying poppy about men. So let's move forward. Let's talk about it. 3-4-1 Colts going at the Pats 4-4. The Colts haven't been right since their opener. Period. Point blank. That was a day where a lot of people really. That's where I was like, this team is going to be very average or below average, and Matt Ryan is old and it's over. You know what I mean? Because we really thought Matt Ryan still had a little something to him, but that was not the case at all. It was not the case at all. So you got a Pats team 4-4. They're going into this game with the attitude that they still have something left, but I think the Patriots are going to fall short when it comes to the playoffs. But looking at their numbers, the Patriots do have some good numbers on the defensive end. And I think that's what's keeping them afloat. They're number 2 in the league when it comes to interceptions, number 6 when it comes to sacks. But their offense is not doing well at all this year. They're only getting 22 points a game. They're getting 22 points a game. That's good for 17th in the league, and they're only allowing 20. That's 12th in the league. So but the one thing, the glaring stats are this: their passing game is ranked in the high 20s, and then their total yards are ranked in the 20s as well too. And then the signature to them right now is their run offense, which is ranked 13th in the NFL. So they're top 15 in that category. But all in all, I think the Patriots are just going through the motions right now. They do have a good quarterback in Zappy, who's been doing his thing. But the offensive line is not doing a great job protecting the quarterback. So I think that the Colts might have a baby chance here, but the Colts are very middling at best. You know what I mean? They haven't strung. They won 2 in a row in early October, then they lost 2 in a row. They haven't been blown away this season, though. That's one thing that you can give the Colts. The Colts have lost they've lost all their games by single digits, but they've won all their games by single digits as well, too. So I think that the Colts, if they can play some defense here, they could possibly be in the game. But I think that Belichick has something for them. They're going to keep this ball on the ground, and they're going to try to run some more. And I think that's going to help the Patriots win this game by a touchdown or better. I love the Patriots with the 5.5 in the spot. I think that we're in a great situation. And when we look at the spread on both of these teams, you have a Patriots team that is still a very good team against the spread. They're 4-3-1 on the season. And then you got Indy, who's 3-5. So I think that the numbers call for the Patriots to go ahead and get a nice win here. So let's go ahead, move forward to our next spot, and that's going to be the Bills and the Jets. The Bills coming here as a heavy road favorite, 6-1 on the season. Jets are 5-3, surprisingly, and plus 13. But the Jets, are they coming back down to earth? That's the biggest question, because they did lose Breece Hall, and that pretty much was the key piece to what they were doing. Now, this team did do well, though. They did win 4 games in a row. Okay. And that was amazing, because you didn't see that coming. And the great part about it was 2 of those games were blowouts. They blew away the Packers in Green Bay, and they blew away the Dolphins, who at the time came into that game 3-1. And then they also went ahead and had a good road win in Denver, beating them 16-9. Then they come back around, lose to New England, but they were thoroughly dominated by New England in that game. Don't let that score fool you. New England had their way with the Jets. Now the Jets have to line it up against Buffalo. They get a week off after that. Then they got to play New England. They might still have a little bit of they're going to still be getting hyped up until they get to this next Buffalo game, in my opinion. But they could actually, when I'm looking at their schedule right now, if they can hold up and if they can get the quarterback play better, the Jets could possibly sneak into the playoffs. But I think that they just won't have enough at the end, because you look at their schedule, they line it up with Minnesota, Buffalo back-to-back. Detroit is not an easy game. Jacksonville is not an easy game. Seattle is going to be a tough one, because they got to go to Seattle, and then they finish the season in Miami. So we'll see how it goes. This Buffalo game, it might be already a throwaway, but Buffalo is just getting so much love now. And I think that is right on. But then at the same time, I'm saying, damn, can you give them a break? Because they went ahead right before their bye. They had won 4 out of 5. Then they got a good win over New England last week on national television. So we are looking forward to a very fun spot. This is going to be a game that's going to be very hyped up this week. This is going to be a game that's going to be talked about. But when they're giving 13 points to the Bills on the road, they're literally telling you that bet the Jets. And the Jets have been gold when it comes to being a dog this year and being on the spread. It's that simple. This team is playing great as an underdog on the spread, because that's what the Jets usually are. They're 4-3 on the spread, and they've only been a favorite once this year. So you do like that. And you know what? They've been a dog to where they've made real dog money this year as well, too. So the Jets, all in all, I don't say the Jets win the game, but I do say that the Jets do cover. I do like the plus 13 here because their crowd is going to be into it. I don't think Zach Wilson's performance last week should affect anything, but I know what the odds makers are doing. They are saying, what have you done for me lately in this matchup? And the Jets have done absolutely nothing for us in this matchup, but get beat by 20 plus points in the last few matchups with the Bills. It's been downright just beat downs when it comes to these two. So yeah, I do like the Jets in this spot. And let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But Jets Bills, it should be a good one. All right, so we move forward. Let's go ahead and jump into the Vikings and the Commanders. And the Commanders are so fresh that they only have graphics for them. So we have the Vikings coming in 6-1. The Commanders back in business right now. This team was 1-4 at one point. They've went ahead and won their last 3 in a row, and they've been able to win 2 in a row impressively with Tyler Heineke back at quarterback. So this team is feeling themselves. They did the same exact thing though last year. They lost, say, 4 in a row, then they won 3 in a row. You know what I mean? And they gave you this idea that they're a different team now. You know what I mean? But when I look at them as an underdog in this spot, they're 2-3 against the spread. Okay, and when I see that, I say to myself, okay, 2-3 against the spread as an underdog this year, and they're coming in as an underdog again in this game. And then I look at their straight up win-loss record as the dog. They have the same record, 2-3. So this team is better with Heineke at quarterback. It's that simple. It's just they're that much better with Heineke at quarterback. So I do think that when it's all said and done, the Vikings are coming in here and they're going to be an overbet. I'm going to be dead honest with you. The Vikings have not lost since week 2. And when you look at their wins, 28-24, 28-25, 29-22, 24-16, 34-26, they're winning the battles inside for this game. So I think that it's all about where your head is at the moment. Minnesota has been good to everybody right now when it comes down to the way they've been performing, but have they been covering? No. They last week they almost didn't cover. The week before they did. Then they slipped up a little bit against Chicago. They had New Orleans. That was a really good game, but they could have lost that game. And Detroit, that one went back and forth. So you got 3-4 team against the spread right now. They're hard to trust in this spot when it comes to the spread, but they're easy to trust when it comes to winning. But I think that once again, as I said before, they're going to be an absolute overbet in this spot. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go opposite here, and we're going to take the Commanders here at plus 145 because I truly do think that right now they're playing really good football with Heineke at quarterback. I know that Rivera is very comfortable with him at quarterback. That's why they didn't move on from him. And the only reason why they took Carson Wentz because there was a big contract in place and they got to appease fans because the fans want to have a name at quarterback. But Carson Wentz is not the answer for the Commanders shit. His career is literally over at this point. He had one really great season in Philadelphia. He broke his knee. He broke his kneecap. He's never been the same since because he plays very timid. They paid him very early in his career, and he didn't have to worry about anything because he got a lot of guaranteed money. So at the end of the day, it's just a matter of time before they put Carson Wentz on the bench once again. He gets out, and he's getting outplayed by another backup quarterback. So there it is. There it is. I do like the Commanders, though, with the plus 145, but they are not the good news only dog bet of the week. I'm just going to let y'all know that right now because we're going to get into that situation right now because we got the Chargers coming fresh off the bye and fresh off of a bad loss against Seattle, going into Atlanta. And Atlanta has been a team that has been able to do a lot of things that nobody expected. including myself. They have 4 wins on the season. They literally went ahead and beat my expectations of them. I was joking around on Twitter and I said they're good for 3 wins this year after I saw a hype video for them. Now, this team is a team that they're 4-4 for a reason, because they win 1 week, they lose 1 week. But this is what happened with Atlanta. They dropped their first 2 games of the season, then they won 2 games in a row. Then they came back around, lost to Tampa, then came back around and beat San Francisco. Then lost to Cincinnati, and then had a clutch monster win last week against Carolina in a game they should have lost. We all know they should have lost that game last week. The Carolina kicker put them in a bad spot, and then DJ Moore had one of the stupidest penalties you'll ever have after celebrating buzzer-beating 62-yard touchdown that forced the game to go into overtime, but it could have been the win for the game. So I know a lot of bettors are going to say, well, Atlanta just didn't look that good last week. The Chargers haven't looked good all season. Let's keep it real. When have the Chargers had a game where they really thoroughly handled somebody this year? Let's keep it real, okay? And the Chargers, literally, this is how the Chargers roll. The Chargers got their first win of the season. Then they wound up losing 2 in a row. Then they wound up winning 3 in a row because they played Houston. They played a Cleveland team that blew the game late. And then they beat Denver, who could have won the game as well, too. So, then Seattle comes in here, and Seattle absolutely beat them from pillar to post. And that was the second time this season where they got beat pillar to post. The other team was Jacksonville. And that literally, I'm just like, how can you look that bad at home? You know what I mean? The Chargers just have the advantage. They're 2-2 at home now. But they are good on the road. They're 2-1 on the road right now. And I think that when you look at the way this is setting up, this is their first matchup against an NFC team this season. I think this will be one where, just like San Francisco a few weeks back, everybody had this guaranteed money bet. And I just think that the Falcons are just dying to be my dog bet of the week, and they are going to be the good news only dog bet of the week. Woof, woof. So there it is. That's going to be our dog bet of the week right there, and it's going to be the Falcons money line plus 140 at home. And I like it. I like it a lot. Mariota should have a good game here. Mariota is probably one of the most trustworthy quarterbacks when he has his back against the wall when it comes to covering spreads and winning games. And you have to understand, they opened this up at +6, okay? And it's been trickled down to +3 on the Atlanta side because everybody sees what's coming. This is going to be another drastic overbet because the Chargers have been hyped up to be one of the better teams in the league, right? But it's still going to be something that's going to be an issue for this team moving forward, in my opinion. So all in all, I truly do think that we are in a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful spot here. And I think that we will get ourselves where we want to be at the end of the day when it comes to this game right here. So there it is, Falcons plus 140. Let's see if they can keep the good times rolling. And this game is definitely going to be one that you bet the over in as well, too, because I know there's going to be some scoring in this spot. So there it is. There it is. All right. So let's go ahead and see where we're at on the schedule for this. Are we taking a break yet? Are we taking a break? I'm checking now. Actually, we are. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. When I get back, we're going to go ahead and get through the final group for this week. We guys know that there are six, 7 teams off this week, so we don't have a full schedule. So that means we only have so many afternoon games. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Bet. I'm sorry. This is the NFL Bet Exchange. I got confused because I got Jeff here with me. So it's the NFL Bet Exchange, and we'll be right back to you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And let's go ahead and jump into our next game. Raiders at the Jags. And the Raiders come into this game. You know that the Raiders are probably gonna get mushed on Sunday. This is probably gonna be every free better play there is, just like last week when they mushed the Raiders against the Saints, and I had the Raiders too, and I said, that's a mush. Like, Ice Spice, that's a mush. That's a mush. So pretty much, let's hope they mush it to the other side. But I really wouldn't trust the Jaguars coming back from England. They had a close game with Denver, but the Raiders are much better than Denver overall, in my opinion. I think what happened last week with the Raiders is that they just got caught slipping. It's that simple. And they went against a coach that absolutely hates them. Every time the Raiders go against a coach that absolutely hates them, or a coach that used to coach them, that's now a head coach in the league or a coordinator, they always get destroyed. It goes back to when Mike Shanahan took over the Broncos. Like, he literally went out of his way to whoop the Raiders. You know what I mean? Even though the Raiders did have their moments against them, there were times where they just absolutely destroyed the Raiders because Mike Shanahan just wasn't going to have it no other way. You know what I mean? So you look at this in a sense and you say to yourself, the Jags are hard to trust. They truly are. They just are a hard team to trust. And, they were 2-1 at 1.2, and everybody would have this, the Jags, and here comes Trevor Lawrence and blase, and here we are with them 2-6 since that point. They've lost 5 games in a row, including giving Houston their only win of the season. So Jacksonville right now against the spread, they're 2-6. So that means that literally nothing is different from what they do. So pretty much there it is. But all in all, and I'll go ahead and I'll give you guys Jeff's picks at the end as well too. So, pretty much I wanted to get you guys Jeff's plays as I went, but I'll make sure that you guys get Jeff's plays here at the end of the show. So they'll be there. They'll be here, and I'm putting them in. So I have them now. So you guys will have those at your display as well too in a moment. So I just want to give you guys that update. But I look at the Raiders. The Raiders aren't much better when it comes to it. They're 3-4 against the spread. And we know why, because the Raiders had games where they did cover, but then they had games where they should have won that game. And that's why I say the Raiders don't give up on them yet. And I said that after what happened last week, I don't think that they're going to put up the same effort unless they really, truly do want to get Josh McDaniels fired. You know what I mean? To be honest with you, because that is actually probably the next step after this week, because they can't keep going along like this, to be honest with you, because 2-6 right now for a team that to me could possibly be 6-2. You know what I mean? And the Raiders know that, because I think that there's only about one game where they got beat thoroughly, and that was against the Saints last week. And then possibly you could say, the opener against the Chargers was pretty bad too. So, but they still had a opportunity to win that game several times as well. So it all depends though on how you feeling in this spot, in my opinion. So, it is what it is. So there it is, what you call it. And I really do feel like this one can be a game that can be um something that we all really look forward to and we'll all have a lot of fun with. So there it is. That's the Raiders right there, minus 125. I really do feel like the Raiders can do what they have to do and get us that good win. So we move forward and let's go ahead and jump into the afternoon games and the late games. Late games. We got ourselves a fun one here, and that's going to be the Cardinals and the Seahawks. This game is going to be in Arizona as well too. You got a Cardinals team coming in here 3-5, Seahawks coming in here 5-3. I truly do think that when it comes down to picking a winner here, you have yourself a team now in the Seahawks that have became like the Seahawks were. Because last year the Seahawks, we were still trying to pick the Seahawks. We were still trying to do things with the Seahawks, but we just couldn't because the Seahawks kept losing last season. Now this year it's a little different with this team because they have a system in place. Geno Smith played a lot of games last year when they were struggling, but now Geno's back to now he's the starting quarterback, and he's really not trying to relinquish the position either because he's looking at it like, man, if I don't play well, then they'll get rid of me and my career will be over after this. So I think that all in all, the Seahawks have played some really good football lately. You can't doubt the Seahawks because they really stepped it up after that. They really, really stepped it up after that situation with the 49ers in week 2 where they got absolutely land-based. Then they went to Atlanta. They lost that game, a close one, and then came back around, got a good win in Detroit, then came back around, lost to New Orleans in New Orleans, and then after that, they've won 3 straight, including beating Arizona by 10. They also beat the Chargers thoroughly by 14, and they just beat the Giants last week by 14. So that gives you 3 double-digit wins in a row and winners of their last 4 out of 5 as well, too. So see the Seahawks coming in here firing, red hot. And I know that's something that everybody's going to look at and say to themselves, oh, this should be a good win for them. But now you know how good Seattle really is. So I think that since they played the Cardinals a few weeks back, the Cardinals can make the adjustments here in this spot. And I think that they catch up with Seattle. Seattle has had a good little run, but Arizona, kind of hard to trust. They're a team that hasn't consistently won this year. They've dropped their last 3 out of 4 as well, too, but they did get a good win over New Orleans, but that was a Thursday night game. But they're back at home, a place where they've only won a game at, but still they're back at home, and I think that they should be much better. And they've played Seattle very well in Arizona as of late too. So I do like the way that this one shapes up, and I'm going to actually take the Cardinals to win this game with the minus 130. They are a slight favorite here, and I think what happens in this game is it becomes a pick 'em, and if it definitely becomes a pick 'em, it does favor the Cardinals in my opinion, because the Cardinals are a team that I still don't see making the playoffs, but I still know that the Seahawks are going to go through some trauma before if they're really going to make the playoffs this year, because once San Francisco starts rolling, then they're probably going to run away with the West, in my opinion. The Rams aren't going anywhere, and the Cardinals are just waiting for their coach to be fired. It's that simple. So Seattle has the best coach in the division, has had the best coach in the division. So they do have the spot that says that, you know what, they've been the linchpin, kingpin for a long time here in the NFC West. Even though they haven't been great the last few years, it was all about the Seahawks for about a good 8 years in the 2010s. Like they literally, it was like hand them the division already, and that's how Seattle's been. And Seattle just knows how to beat teams in this division. But I think that the Cardinals will have enough to go ahead and get a good win over them on Sunday. So let's go ahead and move forward to our next game in hand, and that's going to be the Bucks and the Rams having themselves a rematch from last year's divisional game where the Rams got themselves a big win with a big throw at the end of that game. You got the Rams 3-4, the Bucks coming in here at 3-5. The Bucks have lost 4 in a row. I don't even remember the last time Tom Brady lost 4 games in a row. He probably hasn't lost 4 games in a row ever in the NFL, and that is not surprising because Tom Brady is almost 45 years old and you guys just don't get it. You guys want to keep lying to yourself that he still has it, but he doesn't. These guys have, and my bad, they've actually lost the last 4 out of 5. Okay. Sorry, they lost the last 4 out of 5, but it seemed like they lost the last 4 games. So you have this team, the Buccaneers, coming in here, and they haven't looked good to me in any of those games. The playing against Pittsburgh, that was kind of a Mike Tomlin, I got you, because he knows how to combat. He knows how to combat Tampa Bay's defense and all that good stuff. So he had, him and their head coach know each other, him and Ty Bow. So, he was able to go up in there and, wreck shop. And then you have them losing to Carolina. That was an absolute joke, losing to Carolina the way they did. But Carolina is playing good football at that time, is playing good football at this time as well, too. And then the Baltimore game, they absolutely just were out of it until the end. So can they breathe a little easier since they have the Rams here? But the one thing is, though, do they want to play at home? Because these guys right now are 1-3 at home. This team was much better at home throughout Brady's first few seasons there. Now they just can't. They can't do anything at home. It's like more pressure at home for some odd reason now. But the Rams, to me, are a good bounce back spot for the Bucks. But if they don't bounce back here, they're going to have some real issues moving forward because they don't want to be 3-6. And then their bye is not until week 10, and their bye is not until week 11. Okay. And then Seattle is coming to town as well, too. And you don't want to lose 2 out of 3 or lose all your home games in a row. You know what I mean? Because at some point, you're going to start thinking about benching Tom Brady as well, too, even though Tom Brady's still getting the stats. He's still getting stats, but he is, check down Tommy, too. You know what I mean? Check down Charlie all day long. He's not pushing the ball 60 yards down the field. So you have the Rams coming off their bye, bad loss last week at home, and you look at their schedule moving forward. It's after Tampa Bay, it's Arizona, 2 road games back to back, New Orleans and Kansas City, then 2 home games back to back, the Seahawks and the Raiders, and then they have 3 out of 4 of their last games on the road, and those 3 road games are Green Bay, and they're at home still for the game on the first day of 2023 against the Chargers, and then they finish up the season in Seattle, which could possibly settle the division as well too. But they have another game with Seattle as well too on December 4th, so they want to be in a good position when they get there, in my opinion. So I truly do think that what happens here is that the Bucks get the win here because the Rams actually have a situation where it looks like they can bounce back, because I think they can go to New Orleans, possibly get a win, and then I think they can get an upset win in Kansas City because they do know the Chiefs very well as well too. And still, I can never forget the greatest game I've ever seen in my life, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. I was at that Monday Night Football game at the Coliseum where those teams scored 55 and 52 points, I think. It was 55 to 52 at the end. Boy, oh boy, what a night. Seriously, what a night. And, LA and there was a lot of wildfires and stuff going on. I was living in Vegas at the time, so I wasn't really it was funny because it was like I was damn near a tourist in a place I've lived at for 30 some odd years. And it was just, wow. It was an incredible game. Had a lot of people at the game as well, too. That I knew. And so it was great to see that type of game. And I was like, man, the Rams might make it here in LA. They've moved to SoFi, and all these just crazy ass fans have moved in, and it just doesn't look fun to be a Rams fan anymore. But all in all, we do have, and I am so sorry because it's not supposed to be the Bucks here. It's not supposed to be the Cards here. It's the Bucks. So let me fix that. We have the Bucks here though, and we got them here at the number -125 actually. So yeah, minus 125 to the Bucks money line here. So let me make sure it's right for you. There it is. PT bets for the Bucks money line and minus 125. So that's where we're going with that one. And we move forward to our Sunday night football game. And that's going to be the Titans and the Chiefs in the Sunday night football. There it is. And so what do we have here? We have 5-2 Titans team and a Chiefs team that's 5-2. And it's funny because they're a 12.5-point favorite and they're going against a 5-2 team. You'll probably never see a spread like this ever, but this is what happens when a team starts their rookie quarterback and they have a winning record. And they say to themselves, well, we're now ready to start the future, even though we overpaid this guy to be here. So you had the Titans start off the season 0-2, and a lot of people were like, I don't know about the Titans. Then the Titans came back around, eked out a win against the Raiders, and then got a good win in Indianapolis, and then got another good win in Washington, and then got a bye, and they've got 2 divisional wins in a row, and they've only allowed 10 points. This team hasn't allowed 20 points in a game since week 3. So this team is doing some good work defensive-wise. So I don't know why the Chiefs have such a overbearing line against them, but the Chiefs, on the other hand, though, they've been dominant. You know, they'll win 2, then lose 1, win 2, then lose 1. And then they beat the brakes off of San Francisco. They've dropped 43 times this season as well too, and they weren't against like lousy teams. It was against the Cardinals, the Bucks, and the 49ers. 3 teams that are supposedly really good with defenses. Now, they to me have started to figure out how to win close games in crazy situations, even though they did not beat Buffalo. But Buffalo, that was a hell of a game. Buffalo had to get that get back. They had to get that get back from the division last year. It's that simple. And, Indianapolis, that game was tricky because, defense stepped up in that spot. But other than that, they just been really good, And the Raider game, they got a little lucky. Raiders went up 17-0, got a little cute, and then wind up getting beat. Then wind up getting outscored 29-13 after that. So it happens. 30-13 after that. So it happens. It happens. 30-12 actually. I'm sorry. So it happens, right? But yeah, Kansas City's looking good, but still, when you're playing defense the way the Titans are playing defense, this is going to be an ugly game Sunday night, and I do like the Titans with the plus 12.5. So there it is. The Chiefs versus the Titans tonight. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the Monday night football game, and that's going to be between the Ravens and the Saints. And this one is going to be another good one as well, too. We got both of these teams coming in here ready to rock and roll. You got a Ravens team 5-3, then you got a Saints team that's 3-5. At the same time, please ignore the game 7 week preview. You guys know it's not week 7, so don't start. Okay. And we have we got a Saints teams coming straight off of a shutout, so they're going to get a lot of love here. Let's keep it real. They'll get a lot of love here. I'm showing them a lot of love this week. Ravens team playing much better football. After the first few weeks, it was a little shaky because they were winning, then losing, winning, then losing, winning, then losing. Now they've got 2 back-to-back wins, very close games for this team as well, too. They haven't had a game where they really went in there and stomped the team out, except for when they beat up on New England. And then last week they had a good game against the Buccaneers as well. So I think that when it comes down to where we're going in this one, it's an easy call. I really do like the Saints at home on Monday Night Football because it seems like Monday Night Football has been really good to home teams this year, and it's been really good to teams like the Saints who are coming off, who are rolling into a situation. Saints get some good time off as well too. So I truly do like the Saints in the spot for another Monday Night Football upset, plus 130. We had the Browns last week at plus 150. And see, that's crazy when you're a plus 3 for the spread, but you're a plus 130. They're giving you a big shot. And that means they're telling me the spread is going to dip down to -2.5. If it does that, they're definitely, to me, handing the game to the Saints. Not handing the game to the Saints, but when you see the numbers work out like that, that usually is an indicator that dog is going to win the game. So I do like the +130 in the spot with the Saints money line, and there it is. There it is. Now, Jeff was saying, I thought you was going to wait on me, but Jeff, I was going to make sure your plays got talked about. And here goes Jeff's picks for this week. Jeff is taking the Eagles with the -13 on Tuesday on TNF. He bought the hook for that one. He's taking the Bears, bought the hook for that one, +6. He bought down on the Bengals. He also went ahead and bought up on the Lions, and then I'm looking at it. He got the Colts here as well too, so he's going opposite with the Colts. We're both on the Jets with the +13. Also with the Commanders, he's taking them with the +3.5. I'm taking them with the money line. He's taking the Chargers. I'm on the other side taking the Falcons, but he's at -2.5. Then he's taking the Jaguars +1.5. He took the Saints last week. I'm going to take the Raiders. He has the Cardinals. I have the Cardinals as well too. Both of us are taking the Titans, and then we're going to have another face-off Monday night, and he'll be taking the Ravens, and I'll be taking the Saints. So that's how it goes. That's how it's going to be, and that's where we are for this week's NFL Bet Exchange. And Jeff is over, and as I said before, Jeff is leading in the clubhouse right now by a little bit. And so we got it going on right now to where we're in a position to who's going to be able to win out this season. But all in all, we're up right now. So if you've been following our plays, you're up right now as well too. So, that's what it's all about, is cashing those tickets and helping you win on your Sundays. That's it. And that's all, man. And so pretty much let's go ahead and win some more money on Sunday and Thursday as well, and Monday. All right. So with that, this is the NFL Bet Exchange, and I'm your host, the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper. We'll be back next Tuesday, me and Jeff, to go ahead and break down week 10 for you guys, because we're in week 10 now, right? We're going to be in week 10 because this was week 9. So we'll be back next week with some week 9 stuff, and then we'll see exactly who is going to be in the lead next week. Maybe we might be tied. You never know. So there it is. It's your boy, and I am, as I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. And the movement is moving. And we got the primetime angles coming up in the next 30 minutes to an hour. So you guys be on the lookout for that one as well, too. We'll be live for that as well. So just make sure that if you're watching, you retweet, share it, whatever you got to do. But this is a wrap for NFL Bet Exchange, and I am gone.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by